You should record that. You put it. It's time to start. Begin and put it just before the credits.
Transmission is go. Underbase is live.
Hello and welcome to the Underbase. I'm your host, KingGrimlock, and today I'm joined by two people. Firstly is the man, the voice of the fanboy versus the trousers of the Transformers wiki, and generally all-round decent Irish bloke. It's Chris McFeely.
Trousers. What?
And I...
Hello, folks. How are you? Sorry, right. That took me off guard. It's a bad start. Okay, so they're going to get worse from here.
Oh, boy. And also joining us is the man that can only be described as the voice of 1,000 podcasts, someone who seems to still manage to work 24 hours a day and appear on my show when I never get to do the stuff that I promised to do for his show. It's Grufflock.
Hi, kids, and Matt, you're a slacker.
Yes,
Just
yes, I am.
simple as.
Yes,
I actually
am.
finished work this morning after being there for 73 hours.
That's crazy, bitch. What the fuck?
Yep. Welcome to my world.
And you are still here to review a comic with us.
Not even a good comic.
Oh, let's not ruin the review, Chris.
Oh, no, yeah, we wouldn't want to do that. Yeah.
See, you say it's not a good comic. Good, bad, it's all subjective. My question here is it going to be an entertaining review?
Ah, well.
I would
No.
put money that the review will be more entertaining than the comic is.
Well, I have my lighters ready. I have my bags of flaming poop ready. I have a shovel and a dead weasel ready. Let's go.
Well, as any long-term listener of the Underbase might have guessed, when we bring Mr. McFeely and Mr. Grufflock together, only one thing can be reviewed, because this amount of awesome on one show can only be done for one comic a year. And that comic, every year, ladies and gentlemen, is Timelines, the offering from the Transformers Collectors Club that is released initially at Botcon and then released by Diamond Selects around November, December time. It was early this year, shock horror.
A bit, yeah.
Mainly because there was nothing extra in the comic, I can only guess. But it did bring the cover price down, which makes it a little bit nicer.
Significantly.
Yes, so Transformers Timelines Invasion.
Balance act.
Woo!
Let's do balance act instead.
We can't.
Oh.
We have to do this.
Games of Deception. We haven't done Games of Deception. Let's do the G2 one again.
Our viewpoint wouldn't change.
No, but we could have fun again. You remember fun, don't you? Before you read this? You remember fun?
Fun is definitely not a concept these authors seem to be familiar with.
I remember joy. For the world turned black.
Well, which editions are we reading? I personally am reading from the actual Botcon edition with its interesting cover, I think is the polite
I
phrase.
love that cover.
At least it's got some character to it.
Describe it, man.
It's sort of 4 panels of cartoony-looking Transformers with smiles and stuff. And there's good guys, bad guys, more bad guys. And it's describing the classics and Shattered Glass universes colliding together in this invasion event. Chris, which one are you reading?
Well, I wish I was reading from that one because I love that cover, that 1950s movie poster pop art style, because, you know me, I love something wherever Transformers gets to muck about with different styles a bit. Alas, I'm reading from the Diamond edition of this, which features the single dullest cover in the history of Christendom, in which Optimus Prime, who's not in the story, is looking at a big shattered pane of glass in which 2 characters who aren't in the story are looking back at him, and also there is tracks. Yeah. I mean, it's not even like visually a good representation of the concept of shattered glass. And it's by Dan Canna, who does the interior artwork for the thing, and he's a good artist, but it's really not a well-staged cover at all. It's not nice.
Now, I'm sure I saw this cover initially as a piece of art that was done for Botcon, and they've actually had to redo it for the cover because the reflection was wrong.
I don't know how so.
The Classics Universe Prime wasn't holding his fist up.
Oh, really? Oh,
Yeah.
God. Okay, fair enough. I don't know.
Or he was holding up the opposite fist or something like that. Rather than the mirror version of it. It was quite funny. And Adam, which version would you be reading of?
I'm reading the awesomely Samurai and Jack-inspired covered version of the Botcon
Excellent.
comic.
Now, the Botcon comic is priced at $4.95. Chris, what was the price point of the Diamonds one?
The same, actually.
Oh, wow. Okay, well,
Yeah.
normally for those that don't know about Timelines comics, they're normally $7 or $8.
Yeah.
Is the normal price point for these. So the fact that we've got them a little bit cheaper is reflected.
And we may as well say now that that's because there is no extra work has gone into this. And I don't mean that as a slam, but this edition has no new profiles. Like normally, the Diamond Edition Timelines issues have new profiles in the back of them. This one does not. It does contain, though, the 6-page prologue to the comic, which was released online before the convention.
Which the convention version doesn't have.
Yeah. So if you wanted that in paper, you get that. But it wasn't even. And I mean, it wasn't even hidden behind the members-only access on the Transformers Club website or anything. Anybody could read it online. Still, it's a nice thought that it's thrown in here.
Yes, absolutely. But it does mean that the entire issue does pale in comparison somewhat from the quite splendid offering that was the animated Allspark Almanac additional pages from last year's comic. Bringing the price down is one thing, but taking out 30 pages of additional material or something?
Oh God, no, it was only 6 or something.
Oh no, I thought there was loads with all the extra profiles and everything in there.
I'm not getting it out to check, but there wasn't that much.
All right, I thought it was anyway. I'd rather have the extra stuff if it's good.
Actually, I'm sure there weren't profiles in that issue. The profiles were incorporated as part of the Allspark Almanac content, so it was only about 6 or 8 pages altogether.
It maybe just felt like more because it was good.
Well, yeah. By contrast, this comic feels like it lasts about 100 years.
Well, we may as well kick off with that included prologue. We start in Axiom Nexus, which is the home of the transcendent technomorphs, the Transtech, observers of the multiverse. Chris, quick bit background about what Transtech and the multiverse side of things is. You may as well just rattle through it.
It's kind of all described in that caption box, to be honest.
Yeah.
Transtech, as we know, was a previously designed series that was going to follow Beast Machines, but then they scrapped it at the 11th hour. And the Transformers Club decided that they would take the designs and build a separate universe around them. And the idea is that the Transtech live on the one Cybertron in all the multiverse that's never been plagued by civil war. The race was able to evolve into transcendent heights, hence the name. And they've taken it upon themselves to be guardians of the multiverse, cataloging all the different realities that there are, watching as they are destroyed, but never interfering in Uatu style. And if travelers get lost between the dimensions, they kind of act as a safety net to gather up lost dimensional travelers, and they keep them all in a sort of gigantic city called Axiom Nexus, where all these disparate characters from different dimensions live, and about which there have been several pretty decent prose stories written, which are not currently available on the club website because it's been down for nearly a year.
Good to see where your money's going, folks.
Yeah.
Right. But actually, before we kick in properly, we should say that the writers of this part, Jesse Whittenrich and Pete Sinclair, the pencils by Will Mangan, inks by Jake Eisenberg, colours by Josh Bertram, letters by Jesse Whittenrich, and the managing editor is Pete Sinclair. You know then who to forward your complaints to. And basically, this prologue, quite simply, is Prowl, Rhinox, and then an approaching quite miserable and snipey Megatron, watching as the classic universe kicks off a fight with Gigatron, Overlord for those of us who have the copyright, basically attacking the Ironworks base, him and his pretenders, and associated others, attacking the Ironworks base, which is staffed mainly by Action Masters. And a fight between Gigatron and Metalhawk takes place. And yeah, it's all going on, but these guys watching it go, oh, hang on a minute, what's that? And they pause it at a point, and you see 3 shadowy figures dropping through a warp, where we've had, how does he put it? Something unforeseen, we're registering multiple phenomena across corresponding clusters. So basically, something's happened, and this is the problem. It's a gateway. Can we detect the universe of origin? No need, I already know. And you turn to your final page, and half a dozen Optimus Primes rock up, and basically say, look, it's Shatterglass invading the Classics universe.
Yep. The multiverse is all shook up, and the implications of what is happening here are, far-reaching beyond the effects they're going to have on these 2 universes. Some bad juju is going to go down, and what you need is a team of Optimus Primes to sort that shit out.
Yeah, even though
the significance of this is perhaps a little greater if you realize, if you've read the Transtech stories, that primes are not allowed in Axiom Nexus. They are immediately booted back to wherever they came from, because that is how Axiom Nexus maintains its peace. No Megatrons, no primes, no Megatrons, no MacGuffins. None are allowed in Axiom Nexus. They are all booted out immediately.
Except
so
for
the fact that things are that significantly
yeah.
terrible that they've had to let these guys in.
And we have representatives from Sure Shot or Combat Hero Prime, and
we got Combat Hero Prime, Sentinel Maximus,
bizarre.
The lemon yellow robots in disguise Optimus Prime from Universe, the Jungle Planet Optimus Prime from Cybertron, who's a repaint of the 10th anniversary Beast Wars Prime,
bad
and
boy.
Leo Prime from Universe as well, and that's Transtech Optimus Prime in the middle.
You then expect a story of all these primes kicking ass and being awesome.
No.
Okay, before we kick into the actual invasion comic, guys, what are your feelings having read this 6-page preview? This would have come out. What did they got a date on the page? Has it hell? This came out
before the convention.
Yeah, 6 weeks before the convention, something like that.
Sounds grand.
Yeah.
Whatever.
They were releasing them, I think, one a week, wasn't it?
I think it was 2 pages at a time. Yeah, but
seriously,
for a couple of weeks before the actual Botcon convention itself kicked off. Memory serves me right. The thing I do like about this is first page, all the little screens, and they've got screen caps from episodes of stuff and some scans from the old Marvel comics.
Yeah, that's nice.
I thought that was a really, really nice touch.
Yeah, it just sort of gets across quite easily we are watching what's going on in the other universes, so we may as well just use the images from the other universes.
Yeah, I think it just worked really nicely.
Nice and straightforward.
The other thing is, anybody know what Gigatron Okimi means?
I don't give a shit. I don't give a shit, and I hate it.
Because I have been trying to work that one out, and there's nothing anywhere that tells me what it is. Closest I can get is Okami.
Which was a game involving a dog.
Yep,
a spiritual
pretty much.
dog.
So unless it's a misspelling and they actually think that Gigatron is in fact a dog game.
Wait, where is that again?
It's
Page 4?
third page. Metal Hawk, fourth page.
Yeah, well, I mean, Metal Hawk's speech is shockingly bad as it is.
Yes.
I mean, actually, the writing of these two, the interaction between these two characters in this was probably the only thing that got commented on by people in the build-up to it. I mean, we're talking really, really bad. Last I saw you was...
Okay. I'm just sorry to interrupt, but I've just compared it with the digital. That's actually been removed for the print edition. Yeah, so there you go. Okay, they copped on that there was a dumbass thing and took it out.
Right, did they make Metal Hawk's speech sound better and less like some stereotypical Japanese man trying to speak English?
They have changed. I'm just looking at it. They have changed a couple of things.
Actually,
fuck me. This dialogue is almost entirely different. Hang on.
Wow. Okay,
second.
Ladies and gentlemen, live on the show, we're actually going to maybe make sense of this dialogue.
Right, hang on. First page, Rhinox, what is it? What's going on? Okay, all right. Okay, in the digital version, second panel, first page, Rhinox says something unforeseeable has happened.
Yeah.
In the print edition, he says, I'm not sure yet, Prowl. I've never seen anything like this. It's wrong. Okay, the rest of the second page is the same. One mystery at a time. Okay, this is not interesting listening, but
McFeely's working stuff out.
All he's doing is taking notes so he can change it on the wiki in a minute.
I'm gonna after this, yeah.
That's the worst part, I imagine.
Second page is about the same. Gurk on the elsewhere.
So I'm not going to be happy until I hear the words Metal Hawk is actually saying to Overlord, I'm going to wear your face as a codpiece.
Let's trigger the motion sensors. Somebody to teach the humans how to do those things.
Seriously?
Okay.
Runs?
Page is all the... Oh, yeah, well, those are pre-existing thing from the crossing over club comic.
Okay.
Cover, keep your heads down, Metal Hawk, you're not supposed to be here. I could say the same about you. Gigatron, so they take the Okimi off the end. Last I saw you was in Kitakyushu. Okay, so in the digital version he says looking for Musashi's sword, and here he just says looking for a magical sword. Gigatron replies in the digital version, the fable of that trinket's strength was exaggerated, and here he says, these humans exaggerate the power of their trinkets. Your precious rarefied energon, on the other hand, is true power, he says in the digital version. But here he says, but this rarefied energon you Autobots have brought here. Perhaps the Autobots thought that moving it would keep it hidden, but I know it's here. In the paper version he says, I can sense its strength. It's more powerful than anything I have felt before.
Wow, this is just different.
It's just completely different.
Yeah.
It's not even an attempt to rework... that must be the key. Fast forward past these trivialities. Okay, well, it's a tiny change here. Prime says this is far more than some inter-universal skirmish. Two universes mirror images of each other. Now the balance has been destroyed, and he just describes it as a cross-universe skirmish in the paper version. Everything we thought we knew about stability and accord in the multiverse has changed. Yeah, okay, so there's the idea differences, but they really changed a lot of that. You know what, though? That's actually legitimately interesting to me, because I have a massive, massive beef with the way Fun Publications treats the Japanese original characters like Overlord and Metal Hawk here, because it really rustled my jimmies a few years ago when they did Leozak in the Wings of Honor storyline, and they made him a massive joke because he's a Japanese original character. What if we made him a big parody of Japanese anime and had him shout out his attacks vocally and everything, and did everything he did in the Japanese font? And I was like, that is that annoys me because it's got absolutely nothing to do with Leozak. The entire joke was, he's Japanese. Let's do something Japanese. That's not funny. It's not clever. It is a complete waste of the character. It really aggravated me. So when these guys appeared in this online comic, and what we've got is Gigatron and Metal Hawk having fought in a Japanese city over a legendary magical Japanese sword, and Metal Hawk is throwing Japanese suffixes onto Overlord's name.
Fake Japanese suffixes.
Yeah. So you can imagine.
Uh-huh.
I was a skosh pissed off. And actually, I made myself rather loudly known about that on the Allspark as well. So it's interesting to see. And I know Pete Sinclair read that thread and I think replied to me on it as well. I don't remember what he said. It's interesting to me to see that they have essentially, aside from the name of the city remaining in there, that they have erased the direct Japanese connotations from this exchange between the characters.
Not just that it read like a complete turkey in the digital version and they decided to actually make it read like, I don't know, English.
It's still not great.
No, it's still not great, but at least it obeys the rules of grammar.
Yeah. And I mean, they exchanged an entire exchange about the rarefied energon as well. Not for any great, purpose that I can detect, but they've done it anyway. I mean, rarefied energon, and for the listeners who don't know, was introduced in Crossing Over, the third year of the club comic set, which introduced us to the classic verse. It was this giant underground reservoir, and it said, as this time and space hopping characters who were passing through the universe in the course of that story, they were told it would be like taken to safety. Now I figured that meant multiversal forces were going to come and teleport it away to some far forgotten corner of all of reality, so that nobody could ever find it. Not that a bunch of pretenders and action masters would have come and carry it in cups back to a micromaster base. But fair enough. Like that's what's happened to it. And rarefied energon is, as we learned in that story, it is the base substance of Transformer Sparks. And there's a finite amount of it in existence in the multiverse, so that's what it is, and that's why it's all super duper
that's why it's
powerful and such. And I mean, the idea of energon in its rarefied form being the base substance of Transformer life is something that's carried over to the universe as well, and was reiterated in the Exodus novel. So it's not just fun pub silliness; it is beyond that. Just so you'd know.
That's like having souls made of blood.
Well, it is energy, to be fair. Energy is energy, and sparks are energy, and to be fair, it does happen to like fit in with the interrelation between the Matrix and energon and sparks and energon and everything. It's not that it doesn't make sense if you actually think about if you don't try to correlate it to real world ideas, and if you look at how various disparate Transformer universes have treated these things. In ways that didn't make sense when taken on their own, but when united under this idea, actually now do make sense. Strangely, it's not one of Fun Pub's worst ideas.
But Chris, we all know that Transformers are in fact magical beings, just held in big robot suits.
Well, to be fair, that's basically been the case things since Beast Wars, so it's not like I'm knocking Fun Pub for it or anything.
I know which one I actually prefer, and weirdly enough, I'm on Fun Pub's side. That's a strange sentence. Okay.
So
that's the prologue. That was more involved than I think we figured it was going to be.
Yeah. Invasion.
Yeah, that's going to prompt far less detailed discussion.
First scene is Ultra Magnus invading a.
No, he's not invading.
No, he's
escaping.
He's escaping. Sorry, from the Paradron prison planet.
Because Paradron was a planet of peace in the real universe, so here it's where they keep all the evil people. Do you get it? It's reversed. It's shattered glass. It's funny. Ha ha ha! Fuck off.
Wow, how many times are you going to have to do that in this review?
Damn it! I had that almost word for word ready to go. Damn you, Chris.
The first panel.
Actually, no. To be fair, that's just me That's just me ramping myself up to get going. Far from the worst idea in the thing. Very straightforward mirror universe thing, but that would work in one of the Trenton Cypher written prose stories. But here, where Shattered Glass is essentially gentle self-parody of Transformers tropes, but here, where everything is deathly serious, it's just annoying. But that's probably a summation best reserved for the very end of all of this nonsense. So let's try and get through this as quickly as possible.
Okay. Quite amusing in the first panel. A movie Soundwave satellite floating around, having been wrecked.
Is that other one anything?
I think it's
Shockwave, isn't it?
I thought it was supposed to be Energon Shock Blast, but it kind of lost its way somewhat.
Yeah, that's what I thought too. It's like that one is so clearly movie versus Soundwave. And I'm like, is that supposed to? But it looks like it's got the front end to shock. But anyway.
Yeah. And Magnus is monologuing. You've got tracks. Sorry, these are all Shattered Glass. The Insecticon Junkions and Slicer. Wheeljack.
No, that's Wheeljack.
It's Wheeljack, sorry, isn't it? Yes.
Like, this is a problem I have as well. It's like I look at them and I want to call them one thing, but really there's somebody else. And every so often my brain skips a beat when I'm reading something Shattered Glass, and I think, Decepticon's evil. Wait, no. Every once in a while, especially when you've got a character like Sideswipe who's switched sides and is still working with the Autobots, even though he's evil, but he's not because he's what? No. It's
and in the background, or crawling towards Ultra Magnus, is Ironhide in his lovely black deco with a goatee beard, because that's how you tell they're evil.
I'm not sure if he has a beard. I think that's just shadow around his face, to be fair.
Yeah, he's probably got a beard.
I don't know. Rodimus is the only one who's actually had a beard as that part of that guy.
And yes, while he's monologuing, Ironhide almost gets to him, screams no, and Magnus shoots him in the face at the same angle that Megatron shoots Ironhide in the 1986 movie. With the same line, such pitiful nonsense.
Well, not such heroic, no.
Yeah, well, so paraphrasing it. Interesting note is that Ironhide is in his universe body.
Classic, whatever it was, yeah.
So, that having been said, they jump through a portal. Yeah, basically. And we find out, actually, he's been talking to Optimus Prime.
Yeah, I mean, Optimus is on the screen behind him, and it's like he doesn't look at it. There's no explanation for where Optimus is, or how he's got in touch with him, or why he'd be telling him this, or anything at all. And he says like one word in the course of the whole exchange, and it seems like the only reason he's even on the screen there at all is so Magnus can have someone to say this out loud to.
Yes.
And I'm like, there are 6 dudes right there he could tell this to.
I actually thought he'd imprisoned Optimus.
I did too. I did too for a second, yeah.
When I realised, going back again, because this doesn't make any sense. Hang on, let's start this again. When I realised he was on a screen, he was talking to him, actually talking to him, I was just thinking to myself, this doesn't make a lick of sense. It just beggars the mind. Why? What? Just turn around, speak to the monitor, and then when he finally does, because that to me looks like the type of thing that Grimlock was kept in Mother Meets the Eye.
A pod?
Yeah.
Yeah, if you look at the bit where Magnus actually turns around and starts pointing.
Oh,
it kind of looks
okay.
like
I see what
so
you mean.
I actually missed Prime's big face in the background in the first page. Don't know how I did it, but
it's easily done because it's half covered with a speech bubble and it's squidged away into a corner instead of actually being something that any character is acknowledging as happening.
Well, if you look at it, it's actually the same colour scheme as the rest of the room as well.
It doesn't help, does it? No.
No, really doesn't.
So we're off to a bad start. And let's not take away from the fact that Magnus is fighting some crushingly generic, vague dialogue about overthrowing his brother's reign of terror. Like he uses the phrase "mad reign of terror" seriously, and he's going to do something. The implications of what he's going to do will be ... cosmic. Oh yeah, that's such rich and powerful dialogue.
Yeah. The fact that he's thanking him for locking him in the prison as well. It's just, you might as well just have the words generic, cosmic.
Something, cosmic. Complete. Really? Like, no kidding.
Yeah.
So
evil, darkness, black.
Fun puppet.
So we jump to the Classics universe.
Hang on, just before we jump to the Classics universe, I can't quite remember. No, this isn't ripping. This is me just trying to put the pieces together. So the Insecticons and Trax and Magnus obviously were imprisoned on Paradron. Optimus, just FY, just like this is the current state of play of Shattered Glass. When last we saw it was that Optimus and a lot of the Autobots and Decepticons are still trapped on Cybertron without the power to leave it because the Ark and the Nemesis were co-opted by Rodimus co-opted the Autobots' Ark and escaped with a couple of troops loyal to him and is currently waging the war on Earth against the Decepticons led by Starscream. While Optimus Prime and Megatron, Megatron is Galvatron now, are still fighting on Cybertron. So Magnus has evidently wrung Cybertron just to taunt before jumping through a portal. Now, I'm not quite sure what the status of Wheeljack was when last we saw him. He has done a couple of things in the course of the story. In fact, pretty sure he's been on Earth at some point. And he did a little bit of universe hopping in the Generation 2 storyline, if you remember that as well. Mm. I guess this is a knock-on of that. Those were extra pages added to the print edition of Generation 2 Redux, but Wheeljack hopped over into the Wings universe. So I guess this is an outgrowth of that, is that Wheeljack has been experimenting with dimension jump technology, and here he is using it to set Magnus and his Junkions and Trax randomly to the classic verse.
Well, we know it's not random, Chris. It's just an easy repaint.
It's a lovely toy, though, I have to say.
Yeah, I'll agree with you there.
Mm-hmm. No denial out of me. So, we jump to the Classics universe. And we find our title and crew. Writers Benson Yee and Pete Sinclair, pencils Dan Canner, inks Jake Eisenberg, colours Josh Perez, Jesse Whittenrich and Thomas Deere, letters by Jesse Whittenrich, managing editor Pete Sinclair, editor-in-chief Brian Savage, creative director Lanny Latham, cover by David Perillo. On your cover, Chris?
Well, actually, they've taken those credits off the print edition and moved them to the inside front cover. But,
right.
Dan Canna did the cover on my version.
Special thanks to Simon Furman, Esther True, Greg Spilak, Carl Hartman, and Rick Alvarez, and to us for reviewing it, because we're going to up sales.
I feel so sorry for anyone who got specially thanked in this.
I know, right? You have to wonder how bad it would have turned out if they hadn't had their thumb in it.
And we open with Ironworks getting repaired after the attack by Gigatron and his cronies.
So fair enough, they included the prologue, and it helps that bit make sense.
Absolutely. Right. And we have various Action Masters and triple changers moving parts of the base around. And introducing themselves in a wonderful Generation 1 kind of way.
Which is fair enough, because one thing we have to remember about the Classics verse, which hardly ever, in fact, pretty much never actually factors into its entire nature in anything that's ever happened in it, is that this is a continuation of the Marvel Universe. The Classics verse is one of several universes that branch off from the end of the G1 comic from before G2. And so I mean, like, this exchange is a little bit Marvel-y, where everybody awkwardly refers to each other with their names in bold text.
It
is the single closest moment this comic ever gets to evoking anything Marvel-y at any point, ever.
It's also my favourite panel of the entire issue.
What a coincidence.
I mean, the artwork's... actually, to be fair, the artwork's fairly nice throughout the entire issue.
Yeah.
But, you know, this one sequence, you get to see the Ironworks base, and I love me Micromaster bases. I really do. I mean, you've got Slapdash in there.
Yay.
And that makes me happy. You've got a lot of Action Masters, which makes me happy. And then you've got that kickoff, which is still just gorgeous.
Yeah, I wish I had that.
Yeah, me too.
It's a weird thing, though, to see them all in their Generation 1 outfits, except for kickoff.
It's distracting, isn't it?
Yeah, because you kind of sit there and go, right, well, that's grand. But why? I know you need to promote the toy, so that makes sense for him, but why not just update them or base them on stuff? Because then if you ever want to whip out a quick repaint, you can.
We're going to get stuff like that come later in the story, though,
yes.
and I'm going to get up on its face then, too. So.
I was going to say, there is a mainframe coming, isn't there? In the subscription service.
No?
No.
Is there not?
There's a jackpot.
Yeah. There's animated jackpot.
I must be thinking of the jackpot. I could have sworn I saw mainframe's name on there. Oh, well. Probably just me being dumb. But yeah, jackpot looks like... Yeah, jackpot's right at the back, and he's in his...
Yes.
It seems to just
Action
be looking
Master.
G1-ish, yeah.
I like to think that basically what's happened here is Kickoff has not yet got drunk and thought that the Action Master process would be a good idea.
Yeah.
Just wakes up one morning, he's got a traffic cone, he's got a policeman's helmet, and he just thinks to himself, this day can't get any worse. Wait a minute.
Where have my wheels gone?
Why did I give up the power to transform to be faster, stronger, more alive with this hangover?
And we go inside Ironworks, where Rad is posturing and Metalhawk is looking hard. And they're talking to the Skyhammer base in Japan, where there's some pretenders. The Arc 2 in Canada, where Sunstreaker, Sideswipe, Ratchet are all rocking Classics bodies, but they couldn't be asked with Perceptor.
And Blaster.
And Blaster, yeah. And Fortress...
Look, you can tell it's the Marvel Universe, though, because Blaster has his goggle visor.
Yeah. Now, there was some discussion why Perceptor wasn't in his updated form. And the argument only argument I could think of is Perceptor wasn't a Classics or Generations toy. He was an RTS toy, which was officially a movie line.
It wasn't really officially a movie line, though.
It was officially.
Wasn't really, no. There was only 2 toys that were movie-verse in it.
Yeah, but it was officially a movie
Was it?
subsidiary. Yes, it was.
Was it? It was just called Transformers.
Yes, but it was officially a movie subsidiary.
Was it, though?
Yes, it was.
Citation needed.
I'm just going to pretend that's not actually Perceptor. That's somebody pretending to be Perceptor wearing a Perceptor suit.
Yeah, well.
So it's a cosplayer.
Yeah, it's actually a Shattered Glass cosplayer.
Is that where they just wear human skins?
Yeah, it's where they skin somebody. It's a robot that skins somebody and just parades around.
Aren't I a pretty girl?
Shattered Glass version would be one where the Transformers dress as people. Well, that's just Pretenders, actually. So
Oh my god, Pretenders! They're all from the Shattered Glass universe. Burn them! Burn them! Oh man, that would mean that a Shattered Glass Pretender would be a person that climbs into a rope. Hang on, no, that actually exists.
That's a headmaster. Yeah.
I was actually going to
we're trapped in a recursive loop.
Let's get out of here! It's all gone wrong!
The late 1980s were a strange time.
I picked the wrong day to stop sniffing glue!
Like I picked the wrong day to quit smoking. Okay, moving on.
Chris, you're one for the fluency of comic scripts. Why don't you just take us through Rad's talk through these 3 panels?
You know that one character from Family Guy who talks kind of awkward? There was this guy and I was going to bone my girlfriend. You know that guy?
Yes.
That's Rad's dialogue. They did some hefty damage, but we had Gigatron and his Decepticronies running for the hills like it was nobody's business. It warmed the processors. Kickoff, what is going on out there? It's just awful.
I actually want to get a pen, and what I want to do is I want to tip everything out that he's saying. I just replace it with, "Hi, my name's Red, and I want to talk to you about the Transformers." Because that at least would make me smile.
Oh, I'd forgotten that.
To be fair, the first bit he says there is not bad, but it's when Kickoff pops up on the screen and he goes, "What is going on out there?" And then they talk about how the space bridge portal is opening above them. And Red says, "I am going outside to check it out. U-bots hang tight. We may have to, blah, blah, blah." And it begins here, and it will reoccur multiple times throughout the course, is the conspicuous lack of contractions. And they will keep recurring, and it will drill its way into your face and mind until you are left convinced that a child wrote this comic trying to follow the rules that he was taught to write by in school. Never start a sentence with because. Don't use contractions when you're answering your essay answers. It's... yeah.
But it's not just this. Reading this has made it more obvious to me. But the Fun Pub Timelines comics are an absolute arse for it. The animated one doesn't have a single bit of it.
Because it's written by Wyatt and Eisenberg.
The G2 comic doesn't have very much of it, but I went back and
reread...
reread...
It's written by 2 guys who are pretty decent.
I've reread Games of Deception and the Beast Wars Prologue 1.
Yeah, Dawns of Future Past.
And they have got some awful bits of stilted dialogue. Games of Balance has some of it as well, but not in every issue. It's weird. So I need to actually check to see if Games of Balance? No, hang on. Balance and Act, thank you.
Oh,
I need
okay.
to check Balance and Act was actually written by the same people all the way through.
No, Balance and Act was written by Forrest Lee. And he didn't write anything else after that.
Because the last sort of 2 sections of it, they get really bad for it. But everything beforehand doesn't have a single bit of it.
In Balancing Act? Or?
In Balancing Act.
No, I don't have it handy to pull it open and look. I saw the thing about what denoted what distinguished an awful lot of balancing act, which now that I think about it, did kind of fade at the end. So maybe Forrest Lee did step out and someone else came in. Was this really painful, grandiose, faux Furman dialogue?
Yeah.
The unending, alternative, the ethereal, existential, cosmic night. Like, dude, dial it back a little. It's page 1, panel 1. Fuck's sake. You're not leaving yourself any place to go here.
Although the plus side,
of the multiverse. Really?
I always thought that was it Skywarp?
Ramjet.
Ramjet. I always thought Ramjet should sound like Dr. Zoidberg in that.
Oh.
Like Ramjet.
Goodbye.
Anyhow, yeah, and then it all gets a bit.
Yeah, so they go out in the space.
Before we go, we see Jazz and Warpath in the background in their G1 bodies.
And that's fair enough, because you think they're going somewhere with that in a few pages' time. We'll get to that.
Outside, some tentacle beasties.
Yay!
Gets a little bit Japanese schoolgirl animation and basically face rapes the triple changes and
Nobody
slapdash.
gets face raped, they just get shoulder raped.
And in one case, chest raped.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Get your rape anatomy right, Matt. Just
At which point, they turn into shattered glass junkions.
That's not a bad idea. I like that. Not bad about that. It's. I mean, the junkions are colored like Insecticons, so this is a sort of reinvention of the idea of the clones. But rather than create them from afresh, they warp others into junkions, and I think that's probably supposed to be kind of influenced by that G1 episode where the junkions wind up broadcasting their crazy signals out into the universe and warping everybody's minds, so they start thinking like junkions.
I love the idea of this kind of genetic infection that turns them straight into junkions. They are part of the junkion hive mind straight away. It's just cool.
Yeah, it's not bad. It's not bad.
Yeah, it's one of the highlights of this for me. Just
that is the best thing we're going to say about this entire comic, by the way.
It reminds me a lot of the sort of hate plague.
Yeah,
the idea that there's this infection that you cannot fight off. If these things want to infect you, you will be infected.
And their transformation is done in the style of like Unicron's reformatting from the film, where you see all their inner bits and then the rippling lines pass over them, and then they're fine again.
It's weird that I don't actually hate that.
Oh, no, it's it's not that, I'd probably be a lot more critical of it if it was in anything else, but it's just the least worst thing in the comic.
And then right afterwards, you've got Rad and his "What in the world?
What in the world?"
Yeah, but
then talk to you about Transformers.
Then within a page, well, we'll get to it in a minute. Basically, yeah. Then Magnus and his Shatglass Magnus and his lot arrive, including Wheeljack leaping through like he's in some 1980s video game. And then they get the Insecticons get Outback, Mainframe, and Rollout. Yeah, they turn them as well. At which point, Rad then suddenly learns how to speak English.
That's no good. Kick off with waftum. Is he speaking with regular contractions or in a clipped sort of bro-ish dialogue, or is he speaking like rigidly and formally? Make up your bastard mind. Come on, we've got to get inside the base. Oh, never mind.
Yeah, this scene, I kind of lost what was happening in this.
Yes, that's very easily done.
Why is Rollout referencing Red Dwarf?
Oh, yeah, he mentions smegging.
Smegging, doesn't he? Yeah.
Because that stood out the page like nothing else.
It does, doesn't it? It's like they use Smeg once or twice in the Allspark Almanac as well, and maybe it's just because we're from the UK that word has a specific like sweary overtone. And it's like whenever somebody says frag or frack or whatever, I don't immediately go, "Oh, Battlestar Galactica." It does sound like a very generic sci-fi swear word, but you can't escape Smeg. You can't.
No.
Sorry, that chuckled me.
That's the line of the show right here, folks.
Hey-o!
You can't escape Smeg. It always finds you.
Lurking
where you least expect it.
Swim for your lives.
At which point,
fly, you fools.
The spec is coming.
Rad turns, shoots an Insecticon. I then think that Insecticon is cut in half by another one.
No, that's Rad in the background, I think.
No, it's Rad in the foreground.
No, it must be. Oh, no, there's Rad's head, all right, yep. In which case I really don't know what's happening there.
Because then he gets rugby tackled from behind.
Yep.
I don't get what... Anyway,
I do not know what happened in the mid-panel there.
No.
Did that Junkion cut it apart?
It
seems to have thrown its axe, or chopped the Insecticon in half with its axe for some reason. I don't know.
Is it shadow behind him, or is it another Insecticon?
It's another Insecticon.
It's got to be another Insecticon. You can just see on the right of the panel, like the axe, the twirly spike of the axe coming, like cleaving forward.
I've never wanted to be this close to a Timelines comic as I am right now. Wow.
Rad dies anyway.
Yeah, Rad dies. At which point, Kickoff is speaking to Metal Hawk. We've lost everyone outside, and I don't think that door is going to hold them. Yeah. Door comes in. Magnus, Trax, and the Insecticons come in, and the door.
Wait, hang on, just before we
what did I miss?
Metal Hawk's reply. Load up. We will do what we can to stop them from here, but we will require more firepower.
I think I know where they're going for here. Right? I think I understand.
Yeah.
No. Think back to your early days of computer gaming.
Oh.
Think back to the 16-bit consoles.
It's not that early.
Think back to the days where you got translations that were done in an afternoon by people who didn't care.
All your bases are belonging to us?
Indeed.
I'd like to believe that was deliberate, but we all know it's not.
I can imagine a terrible sound chip doing the load up.
I'll grab enough firepower to lay waste to every single one of them.
Although, I quite like the idea, the second time I read this, that Metal Hawk talks in a dull, monotonous voice.
I like to think his words don't match the movement of his mouth.
No.
Like Godzilla overdub sort of stuff.
Exactly. So he's got his... the chin is clenched, the eyebrows are furrowed, he's peering, and you get to the armory, Lieutenant Kickoff, load up. We will do what we can to stop them from here, but we will require more firepower.
Ah. Yeah, I mean, to be fair, like, going back to what I was saying about Japanese connotations and everything, I guess it's not the worst thing in the world if Megatron... I keep calling him Megatron for some reason. If Metal Hawk does them, because he is an Asian dude. Like, his shell is supposed to look Asian.
But his robot is not.
Yeah.
So it's just what degree of racism are you going to play on?
Because that's another... It kind of... It's another one of those things where my brain keeps skipping beats when I'm reading these things, because I keep thinking, right, this is one of those continuation stories, right? And then I keep forgetting whether I'm reading Classic Verse or Wingsverse, because the Wingsverse has the whole second generation of Transformers who were built on Earth, and I'm thinking, okay, Metal Hawk is built in Japan, and that's why. Wait, no, that's not this universe. Shit, I keep getting them blurred together because there's nothing visually distinctive about this universe at all.
No.
Except for the fact that sometimes some characters are randomly in their Classics bodies.
It's actually, you mentioned before that the Classics verse and the Wings of Horror. The Wings of Horror.
Wings of Horror. Doctor Who and the Wings of Horror.
Was a separate universe to the Classics verse.
It happens.
Yeah, it completely passed me by. I knew it, but I had forgotten.
And I think part of that is because this story doesn't have like any of the characters who would be missing from that universe in it either. You know,
no,
they're all featuring on later end G1, early G2 characters, and it's kind of it's just a blurring. You know, it's not really to be fair, it's not really the comics' fault. It's just the massive, indistinct, empty nothingness that is the Classics universe. combating with something that actually has a slightly stronger idea behind it.
Yeah.
Essentially continuing the G1 cartoon universe, even if not 100% exactly, is still a better idea than let's have the fourth go-round at continuing the Marvel G1 comics after the end.
Yeah. It is a shame that it's not one great big thing, because that would make more sense, and we'd get more G2 characters in this.
Yeah.
There might be more G2 Firecons, and that would make me happy.
Well, they are currently appearing in the comic in the Club magazine.
Unfortunately, I'm no longer a part of the club. So.
Oh, and you're missing out on G2 Firecon.
And I'm actually scratching my arm like a heroin addict. These cheeseburgers, man!
Right, story. Let's get back to this. We're taking too long with this shit. We're giving it too much time.
Magnus attempts to bust down a door, at which point he's greeted by Metal Hawk, Scoop, Trax, Warpath, Jazz, and Wheeljack.
Okay, so very conspicuously, all not in their classics bodies, but aside from Scoop, all characters who do have classic bodies. Okay,
so when you
they're in a complex. Let's not forget, with a big vat of rarefied energon. You know, the primal stuff of Transformer life that'll totally reconfigure you into new forms and shit if you get dunked in. All right, okay, right, all right. So we're totally can bet they're going to get destroyed on the next. Okay, yep. Okay, they're all dead. Yeah, all right. So where does the? Oh, they don't appear in the comic again. Right.
Sigh.
What?
Yeah.
What was that? I mean, maybe they're going to do it in an upcoming story or something, but you've not felt the need to present an origin for any of the other new classics bodies that have appeared in classic verse fiction up till now. Why? I mean, maybe did you just want to show Magnus as being a threat, so you needed some dudes he could kill? You have an army of Action Masters outside you could have killed. That you didn't need to whip out old G1 guys who can't. But it's like, oh, but they're not really dead because they can be rebuilt into classic bodies because they have classic bodies. That's all well and good, but it's just like you just left scratching your head by the time you get to the end of that.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah, agreed. Couldn't put it any more succinctly there. Nah, it's the only way I can put it.
Yeah.
At which point, Magnus, while he kills them, screams, "I can deal with."
That is the least awful inverted jokey thing that's in here.
No, it's an inverted jokey thing of something that pisses me off anyway.
That's fair enough. Yes.
It's just it's like if you went into a shop, like you went into the local Tesco's, right? And you think to yourself, "Oh, I like Tesco's. Tesco's has something I like." You turn around, and in front of you there is something you don't like. And not only that, but a very large man just then whops you in the face with his broom. Right? That's what this page feels like to me. It's like, oh, there's something I don't like. Oh, thanks.
It's
Thanks.
worse yet.
Yeah, just thanks.
But once again, this wouldn't feel out of home, and you'd probably get more of a legitimate laugh out of it if it was happening in a Trent and Cypher pro story, where things are a bit self-parodic and poking at Transformer concepts. But this whole thing is a grim, dark pile of nonsense. So whenever they try to put these... When they try to put these shattered glass style, the idea essentially that has essentially rescued shattered glass from being completely irredeemable, the idea that it can be used to be self-parodic and sprinkle them in like this, they are just the sorest of sore thumbs.
Yeah. And it doesn't help when you've got the entire page here, and it's basically just this Magnus talking, this little batwing head. And the first thing he says is generic evil, power. Then you do that, and then at the end of it, it's more generic evil power.
Your arrogance has earned you a demonstration of what you now face, young Skywalker.
It is so painful.
It really is. It's as much as we were sort of ripping on the dialogue earlier on in the issue. Every time Magnus starts talking, you just want to start rolling the paper up and trying to poke your own eyes out with it. With your brand new paper cone.
I didn't make the comparison until we did it earlier, but it legitimately is all something Dark Side.
Yeah, it is.
I don't know why we're belaboring the Family Guy gags in this, but they're
because you remember that Family Guy once brought you joy before you
once, yeah.
Yeah, and then that stopped being funny as well.
There's no joy left in the world.
Maybe, just maybe, we can all agree that it's time to stop.
Yes, it is.
Yes, Fun Pub should stop. Wait, are we talking about Family Guy?
Anyway.
We should just stop here and that's the show, folks. Okay, I'm out of here.
Magnus chops some bits up. The other two stand back and go, oh, actually, he's quite hard. At which point, Shattered Glass, Soundwave, Octopunch, Tread Shot, and Straxus rock up through another portal, kick some ass, and Magnus goes, aha! I was so hard, but I'm going to run away. And waves his big shiny sword and disappears.
We learn it's implied essentially early on in the story that Optimus Prime, Shattered Glass Optimus Prime, has shot a message off to Treadshot to let him know that Magnus has escaped because these guys have a long-standing rivalry.
Magnus just isn't very popular, is he?
No, he's not. And he also has a magic sword, we find out now. Because
there isn't enough tropes in the one character, so we have to throw in a magic sword too.
Uh-huh.
Is he meant to be Skeletor? Is this it?
Well...
Good Skeletor impression.
Red shot, you delightful Decepticon scum. I'm afraid that we'll have to wait a bit longer.
Replace Terminus Blade with Havoc Staff and you're kind of there, aren't you?
Yeah, you really are. Oh,
yeah. Former brother of the leader of the other team.
Yeah.
Lost his face when he tried a coup and wound up getting locked away and then got a magic stick. Oh my fuck.
He is, isn't he?
Holy shit.
They've made him into bloody Skeletor.
Okay, all subsequent dialogue will be read with Skeletor rather than the Emperor.
It doesn't cause me that Optimus Prime has to sound like He-Man.
No.
Yeah, I don't think it's many lines
Optimus
anyway.
Prime sounds like Venger.
Yes, which, yeah. All right, then, so Treadshot has to sound like He-Man.
That'll do, yeah, that'll do.
Anyway, you turn the page and Treadshot's explaining to the... Treadshot's about to explain to the Autobots, the real Autobots, Classics Autobots, it's basically trying to explain Shattered Glass and then Soundwave pipes up that he does it better.
This is how hard it gets to describe sometimes.
Yeah, and Soundwave tells it way better. I can't even be asked, to be honest. It's painful. Basically, it shows the coup, the attempted coup by Magnus, Optimus Prime ripping his face off.
He took his... You get it? That's okay. That's not a bad joke. I quite like that joke. Optimus Prime.
It's not
gave
belabored.
Yeah, exactly. You're totally right. It just happens. Yeah. They don't have him. It's like if this wasn't in a flashback, he would go, "Give me your face," and he would do it, or somebody would make a joke about, "Oh, I guess he gave him his face." No, they just do it and it's done.
Wait. Shattered Glass Optimus. Shouldn't he be going around giving people faces? Just ramming faces into your face.
That would be Shattered Glass movie Optimus. Yeah. Like, so Shattered Glass version of G1 Optimus would be some kind of crazy bastard who went around tearing people's faces off and cutting blokes in half and pulling heads apart. Wait.
Shattered Glass movie Optimus would be the nicest guy ever.
Total.
Yeah, it's like he just keeps giving you presents of faces. He'd be like Santa Claus.
Sacks full of faces. Yeah. But where would he get the faces from?
He'd have elves to make them.
Okay, getting sidetracked.
You're doing that a lot here. I wonder why.
And basically, yeah, we find out he gets a new body, he escapes from their world.
Okay, so they're saying he has formed some sort of allegiance with Rodimus. Okay, and Wheeljack is working with Rodimus, so I guess that's where that's supposed to be vaguely connected somehow.
At which point, Galvatron sends Straxus, Dreadshot, Octopunch, and Soundwave, who seems to be fawning over a iPad with a picture of Cliffjumper on it.
Wait, what? Oh, yeah, there. Okay.
And blah, blah. Yeah, basically, Dreadshot sums up at the end of the page with blah, 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 doesn't he?
Well, he's talking to Cliffjumper because, again, this is another thing that you forget, but this is Cliffjumper's world. The Cliffjumper who wound up in the Shattered Glass universe, the positive universe Cliffjumper, is the Marvel universe Cliffjumper, who got teleported away from the Classics verse at the end of the original Classics verse story, crossing over that rarefied Energon story I mentioned. He wound up in the Shattered Glass universe. So rather than come back, obviously, like he decides to just give them advice over an iPad.
Yeah.
Although, funnily enough, this does show that Soundwave is with Galvatron here, and frankly, there is kind of a gap in the Shattered Glass timeline at the minute because there was supposed to have been at least one more story. It's been absolutely ages since the last Shattered Glass Pro story, and there's supposed to have been something between it and even the final part of Nexus Maximus' story a couple of years ago now.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. I mean, they were published after it. They were published non-linearly, deliberately. But there is something more supposed to have happened. So maybe like the Cybertron and Earth teams have managed to team back up by this stage, but who knows if we'll ever find out.
At which point we get top of a page filled with dialogue, which I'm struggling to follow.
It covers up all the art. That's great. Well done.
Yeah.
Weird, big, bubbly speech balloons in your iffy font.
Okay, so yeah. Treadshot goes, I'm going after him, you guys stop this place. At which point, the real Decepticons turn up. Which,
remember them?
Spinister?
You will need our help, and we will keep them occupied. When it is time to show Ultra Magnus. God, contractions. Yes, Spinister, Overlord, Octopunch, and Stranglehold. Skullgrin, sorry.
Stranglehold is in it somewhere.
He's about here somewhere, too, yeah.
Yeah. Bondage Tom Selleck gets an appearance.
Woo!
And basically they see it as a prime opportunity to go after the rarefied Energon. Of course. So we're underneath the Ironworks base, and Wheeljack, Shatterglass, is trying to basically hack in and suck everything out, I can guess. Yeah. And it's a force field. Nothing can go in, nothing can come out. Big Vop, and Octopunch appears from the water.
Octopunch is cool.
Octopunch.
Everybody likes Octopunch.
Awesome.
He does. Octopunch is looking well here.
And yeah, probably the best panel in the comic for me is the two of them rising up out of the water.
Yep. That's
At which point, Scoop and Shattered Glass Octopunch drop in.
And you're like, why is it Scoop? I don't know. I don't get it. I mean, I don't have anything against Scoop. I quite like Scoop, actually. I'm not sure why I like Scoop, but something in my brain tells me I like the little guy. He's never really done anything, but I quite like him. I don't know but why is it Scoop?
Well, this is probably the best scene in the entire comic.
Yes, it probably is.
I like how you said probably is.
Well, I mean, it's like
you're
a
just
poke
not
in the
using
eye.
runtime.
A poke in the eye is better than a stab in the thigh. But...
yeah, so basically because you get Octopunch versus Octopunch.
Yeah, I mean, this is the sort of thing that that should be happening here.
Yeah, and the thing you've got that's good is that Classics Octopunch is deadly serious Octopunch, and Shattered Glass Octopunch is a joker. He's having a bit of a laugh, and it's a bit tongue in cheek, and the whole insanity of it. Then actually, no, I just remembered you get this bit as well, then, don't you? Yeah, so
Which bit was that?
Scoop shoots up Skullgrin. Skullgrin goes, "Aha! Witness my true power. I'm a pretender." And Scoop combines his guns together and blasts a bloody great hole in him.
Yeah, I think that's pretty funny. That's cool. I like that.
I thought that was just so twee it hurt.
Oh, I don't know. I mean, don't bring a sword to a gunfight. That's
Yeah.
that's standard Transformers camp. There's nothing out of character about that. I mean, it's weird in the rest of the comic, but I could see somebody doing that in a Transformers cartoon easily enough, or a quippy, just modern Transformers comic of some kind or another. Nothing terribly bad about that. And then it all and I like this scene. There's when we transfer the Octopunches fight. He sends his Nebulance to try and shut down the machine. And then, it would be funny where they say, why does everyone always assume we're good with machines? Because, they're binary bonded, they're chummy with machines, but they're not actually engineers. Just because they're robots and machines, it doesn't mean they know how to. Except it's, why does everyone always assume we are good with machines? Comes out with another fucking broke contractionless piece of dialogue that completely wrecks the joke.
Snappy, this comic is not.
At which point we have our end of evil plan moment before it all goes wrong for bad guy. So just as the full evil plan is enacted, Wheeljack is setting something up. Treadshot is about to shoot Magnus in the back, and Magnus drives the sword into the stone, setting off the rift in space-time because of the Terminus Blade.
Wheeljack has built this doodad.
Yep, this
The
MacGuffin.
energy of the rarefied energy on up.
Yep.
So now it's interacting with the Terminus Blade to do some bad juju. And he has protected the machine that's funneling the rarefied energy with a force field. Just to put the pieces in order now for the telegraphed finale.
We do get a lovely big panel of Magnus.
Yay, empty space.
But at the speed lines.
Uh,
Look at all the speed lines, Chris. Just look at them all. Aren't they pretty?
Speed lines. They're not moving in that direction. It's just bad.
Yeah.
And the angle is not nearly Dutch or dramatic enough.
No.
I honestly did not even realize until right now that he was jamming that down into a device. I thought he was just jamming it into the floor. Because the thing that he jams it into should be much bigger and much more in the foreground, and the angle should be much more like a much wider, sharper angle of it looming up in front of him. It's not well staged. A lot of empty space. Also, reverse feminisms are not fucking funny.
No.
The first time it was kind of funny whenever they popped up in, once again, a slightly self-parodic prose story. But they're really bloody forced here.
Yes, they are.
I can't even remember what the reverse feminism was in the. Hang on, I'm going to look it up. Carry on.
Okay.
It's never over. Finished.
That's the one. Yeah. What is it? It's never. Hang on.
It's always it's over, finished, or it's never.
And that's right. But it wasn't. That's right. It was. That's right. The Decepticon insurgency will be finished over instead of over finished. That was the height of it. That was it.
Yeah.
And that was in the April Fool's comic, which then they later used in the actual thing. And that was okay, because it's just a flipping of the words. It's not an actual trying to invert the... And then here, we get two thrown at us in one... Oh my God.
Yeah.
Wheeljack instructs Magnus to sow the eddy instead of reap the whirlwind. Which you just about get away with if it's not immediately followed with, my time is about to begin. Which is the clunkiest, unpoetic, unflowing thing. Unimaginable. Like, I mean, overfinished has never been poetry or anything, but it bounces off the tongue at least. Mm-hmm. But this is just haltingly stupid.
The thing is, overfinished ends a sentence.
Yeah.
It's a confirmation of what you've already said. Start begin is starting a second sentence and forgetting what you were going to say.
Yeah. Yeah.
The grammar, after an entire issue of grammar being thrown at you in its correct form, this is like a punch in the face.
My
It's just
time is
there.
about to start. Begin.
No, it's Skeletor.
Oh wait,
now.
no.
Yeah, it's
My
Skeletor.
time is about to start. Begin.
Actually, it kind of works.
Yeah, actually, with Skeletor doesn't.
But when he does the beginning, he has to be pointing at Beastman.
Begin. Yeah, as a command.
Yeah, exactly. It doesn't work as a sentence, but it works as a command, as a second sentence. So maybe that's what he's saying.
Telling
Maybe he's telling Wheeljack to begin.
He's telling himself.
Ultra Magnus must give own command to Ultra Magnus, or else we'll forget.
Back.
Well, this is we go back to the Leozak thing, aren't we?
No,
No, because he's not shouting attacks. He's telling himself that he has to start walking,
Well,
or else he'll
All
forget.
right. Anyway, so he
Yeah.
stabs the thing in. We're belaboring it again. Stabs the thing in, and a rift in space and time opens.
we get some panels of people saving things. We get Cosmos in his classics form. Again, further hammering home the point that
Ooh, what? Wait.
top panel of that page, the little panel Cosmos is on the bottom.
Oh, look at that! I never even saw him.
Yeah.
Hooray! Where's Cosmos?
And then possibly some of the most ghoulish Transformers panels ever. In Japan, Skyhammer is abducting people, except for the person that's falling past the ship. Everyone just seems to have forgotten about. And Hosehead just doing... Well, he wouldn't be Hosehead, it'd be Cab, won't it? If it's in Japan.
Is that not...
Oh, no, it's...
Is it... No, it's Vroom.
Is it Vroom?
Yeah, hang on. Who were the three guys in Japan earlier?
Skyhammer.
Skyhammer, Crossblade, and...
it's Vroom.
Yeah, it's Vroom.
Is
Yeah.
Vroom?
It is.
Vroom.
Nobody cares about Vroom.
Nobody cares. I'd like to care about Vroom. Put him in the story, and I will.
Yeah. And in Canada, the classic Autobots are trying to save people, and Perceptor's just randomly looking at the sky while holding a human being.
Yeah,
in his
holding
hand.
it, dude.
No, what he's actually doing, he's looking up at somebody flying by, and he's just about to shout, "Batter up!"
It's just, and what appears to be Spider-Man in the bottom left-hand corner.
Yeah,
It is.
there
It
he
is
is.
indeed.
Yeah. And a guy waving his foot above Sideswipe.
If you look at Sideswipe, doesn't it look like he's abducting somebody who can fly?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was just trying to figure out what was going on there.
Is that Electra
It's not like he's
between...
caught them or anything. It looks like he's got a little red cape.
Yeah, it's Electra between Sunstreaker's legs as well.
I
Oh, so it is, yeah.
guess.
This is just bizarre. It's getting weirder and weirder. And then you get to, well...
Like, they're
Fortress...
not known for hanging around in Canada. I mean, obviously, this is the Marvel Universe, like, technically.
Yeah.
So the idea is that these characters might exist, but I don't know what they'd be doing in Canada. Where's Alpha Flight?
Yeah. But the thing is, not many people would recognise them.
Well, for
It's a
fuck's sake, I don't even know how you
much.
can definitively count that as Electra just because she has a red band across her midriff.
And blue hair. Or dark hair.
It just looks like she's wearing she's got a pair of size in her
It
hand.
does, doesn't it?
Really?
God, I've got far too
No,
close
man,
to this
really
topic
don't.
again.
And anyway, we're in Japan as well, or we were in Japan, but actually now we've gone to rescue people speaking Mayan who are saying, oh, the ancestors were right, it's the end of the world.
Hang on, Mayan.
Yucatec Maya. Yes, it's probably not something they speak in. Where are they again? South America?
Yeah, South America,
Oh,
yeah.
he's in South America,
Yeah.
isn't he? Sorry, yeah, not bad. My bad, he wasn't in Japan.
Which is a language spoken in Belize, in North America. Oh, okay. Nice to see they're keeping it right. Okay, that's good.
Yeah, that just hit me there. It's like, hang on a second.
Oh, well, close enough. The joke fell flat.
Welcome to Timelines.
And then we have the conclusion of the Octopunch versus Octopunch fight, which is the first time I'd noticed an artistic error in the story. Because in the last appearance of Octopunch, he didn't have his harpoons in his launchers, and in this one he does.
Yeah, okay, fair enough, yeah.
It's the first, it just noticed it, reading it through the stuff. And yeah, they realise that they're both Octopunches, and Shatterglass Octopunch punches him out I've got bigger things to deal with than talking to myself right now.
Yeah, that's fine. I mean, that's the sort of thing that a crossover between these two worlds should be doing.
Yeah.
Playing two characters who are the same off each other for laughs. And so, that's as much praise as I can give it.
Yeah. And then we're into, oh dear, my eyes actually blur a little while trying to understand what's going on these pages. I'm going to have to hold it a bit further away from me. Kickoff, no. Tread shot, rugby tackles Ultra Magnus. They fight for a bit. He's about to shoot him.
Steals his gun, tries to shoot him with it. Then he grabs it back?
No, then Kickoff turns up.
Yeah, no, it was just that panel with the gun pointed at Magnus's face, and when did...
No, that's Kickoff.
No, that's Kickoff's gun. Oh, for flip's sake, that's appalling! Like, he's supposed to be... Kickoff, I didn't even... Yeah, Kickoff is supposed to be, like, dramatically appearing beside him and putting his gun to Magnus's head before Magnus can pull the trigger on Treadshot's gun, which he stole from Treadshot. And we never... And all we see is Magnus then turning and punching Kickoff in the face. And actually going, ha-ha! 2 exclamation marks. That's radical.
I read that haha as a thing from The Simpsons.
If it had poked him in the eyes instead, that would have been brilliant.
Yeah, that is dreadful storytelling.
And yeah, we get the full story of what's going on.
Sort of.
Yeah, I'll obviously be leaving this planet before the final chaos comes. You see, I have a mad scientist and a very powerful sword at my disposal. You have either of those, do you, Treadshot?
No, what is... right, so he's saying it's his intent to move the classic verse Earth into the Shattered Glass universe to plumb the rarefied energon. And it is like, what... I will be leaving this planet before the final chaos comes. All right. You see, I have a mad scientist and a very powerful sword at my disposal. What? What's that? I mean, that's not dialogue.
If this had been more tongue-in-cheek, that would have been a brilliant piece of dialogue.
Yeah, you don't have either of those, do you? Well, no, because that's not the sort of thing people... What?
Yeah, I get the feeling.
That is the point at which the dialogue of the entire comic just collapses up its own arse.
Well, this entire page is just horrible.
It's a dreadful page, but it's like, I mean, and the whole thing is just something dark side.
Yeah.
Of Magnus just rambling on and on. I have a mad scientist and a very powerful sword at my disposal. You don't have either of those, do you, Treadshot? And I'm like, okay, so what if he doesn't? It's not like they're possibly the only way to get off a planet. It's like there's no... I mean, yeah, we know what they are and what they do, but there's no correlation. There's no way that's a joke. Is that supposed to be... Is him mocking? This is not funny. It's not even cruelly funny. It doesn't make any... It is... Oh, my God. Oh, my God. I hate it.
As I say, if the entire tone of this had been tongue-in-cheek, I think that would have worked.
Yeah, if it had been intended to be goofy.
Yeah, exactly. If this had been a goofy camp adventure, that would have been a brilliant bit of dialogue. But because it's this weird statement in the middle of Magnus's evil dark side.
I am a mad scientist and a very powerful sword at my command.
It just doesn't work. I mean, he goes straight back into being generic bad guy 5 right after it. It's so bloody jarring.
It's awful.
Ugh. So I can't even work up the excitement here to get annoyed at it. Just, whatever.
Then we have a scene of Soundwave burning off and basically leaving the two of them trying to take down Magnus, who's already proved he's harder than nearly everybody on the planet. Soundwave goes off to try and stop this thing happening. He gets attacked by some Junkions, gets his ass kicked, at which point the Decepticons rock up.
Remember them?
Including, weirdly, Weirdwolf, Snarler, Carnivac, Horrible, Dreadwing.
Well, they're all part of these later end guys. Dreadwing and Weird Wolf had new bodies, Games of Deception.
Same with Thrust.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, Stranglehold.
Yay! Let's get sexy.
And then just the most bizarre look on Overlord's face as he transforms and attacks.
Derp.
I get the feeling that...
It's like he's tripped.
It is, isn't it? It's like he's fallen over it. Oh!
I actually read this, that Overlord, or Gigatron, whichever you want to call him, in this actually had a pull back and go action. Someone pushed him back, and now he's just transformed, and he wasn't expecting it just yet. Because it's flung him forward. Oh, man.
And
Stranglehold.
Oh, no, I mean, this is the worst part of dialogue, I think, in the entire thing. And the most hackneyed way of getting the Decepticons to fight. Chris, go on, you can do Overlord, Gigatron doing his speech to Soundwave. Soundwave looking a little puzzled.
I don't think this is that bad.
Oh, it's shocking.
I mean, I know, the dialogue's not great, but it's the kind of pontification I imagine Overlord would... It's like if Overlord didn't use contractions, I don't think it would be unusual, And the idea, it's essentially a gag. The gag that, because they're Decepticons, Overlord thinks they're the guys that he should be trusting. Like, that's the sort of material that these two universes meeting each other should be plumbing, So I don't think it's that bad as an idea.
Really?
I mean, it's awfully, like 4 pages before the end. Whoop, better figure out a way to finish this sort of.
4 pages before the end, we'd better get these guys in here somehow to. Them in
the lack of involvement of the Decepticons is quite dreadful. And if this was like a well-written story with any sense of pace or anything about it, like these two factions would have exploited this to tell a better story with factions teaming up out of confusion with their badges and everything, But what is it? Overlord says, I do not know who you really are, but you wear the symbol of greatness. If you can save this planet, do so. This world is mine to conquer or destroy, not theirs. And that'll do.
Yeah, that's the point I'm getting at. What a stupid thing to say. It's just, yeah.
The idea is not bad. The dialogue's wretched.
I think both are wretched. I
think it's a pretty sort of idea confusion.
The confusion between the badges is fine. It's the fact that, we've got involved because we know they're going to take over the world, and I don't want that.
How do they know? How do these Decepticons know it's an invasion?
Good point.
How?
Because if you don't mention the title of the comic in the comic, that makes it a bad comic. He said the name of the comic.
I must be Superman 4 of the Quest for Peace.
From this day forth, I shall be called Mad Max 3 Beyond Thunderdome.
You said the name of the thing. Yeah, we're doing the Family Guy thing pretty heavily here now.
Yes. Oh, God, it just keeps on going. It doesn't help the fact that I don't actually like that Overlord design very much. In the comic, it looks much better than the actual toy.
Well, you see, Adam, Overlord is a Japanese character. Therefore,
Yes.
It's all right to impose upon the character the flawed design of an intrinsically Japanese samurai-style character. Because they're both Japanese, so it all goes together, right? Yeah, sure it does.
Yes. And that explains why Stranglehold in the background there talks with a slightly Greek accent, because he's got a bare chest and a mustache.
Good old-fashioned distraction. It's about time, huh? It was bad lamb.
Shall we finish?
Soundwave
speeds off. He's about to try and stop it, at which point Wheeljack pulls a gun on him. At which point Octopunch punches Wheeljack in the back of the head. And then we get to Treadbolt punching Magnus in the chest repeatedly and getting nowhere. I just noticed it for the first time properly on this page. Why is the transformation noise "were fucked brack"?
And why is it like in 1980s MS Paint fonts?
I've noticed it 3 times in the comic.
I don't know. Yeah, it's like that's the transformation noise. You know, that's how it's written out in More Than Meets Day. You know, it's not the transformation noise.
Is it the trying to do the movie sound effect? Whir, clank, fucked, bronk, whack.
Yeah.
Whir, fucked, brack is not.
They're pretty much my feelings towards the comic.
Just fucked.
This whole comic is fucked brack.
This entire comic is just brack fucked whir. Fucking whir.
Magnus obviously sees what they're up to and tries to try and stop them. He takes down all the Decepticons in one go, in a big mishmash of a panel. Nice attempt. Not good. At which point... yeah, forgot this bit. At which point, just as he's about to stop them, just as he's about to get there, and you get the reflection of Soundwave on his grill.
Which isn't bad. I don't mind it. It's not bad. Because, you know, the reason I'm okay with that is because I've never actually seen that done in anything except the movie before.
True.
It's not a visual cliche that's been belabored over and over and over again. Thank you, Dreamwave. You know, I'm okay with that. That's all right. Actually, I don't think I even really remember that until right now that was in it. So.
At which point, the combined firepower of Overlord and Metal Hawk blow the crap out of Ultra Magnus.
Right, I know it's like they're all surrounding him, and then they're like, "Stop him!" And he transforms and drives through them and smashes them all. And it's like, "No, we were fine actually." And they just catch up to him and blow him up. It's like tactics.
Well, according to the page before, Medlock was just watching.
Right, he was just there. It was like,
all right, okay. That's everyone dead.
More dramatic.
Ooh, got a sandwich. Hello.
Just wait till I can see Soundwave's reflection in his grill, and then. So it happens anyway.
Sushi. Let's go.
So he blows him up.
Yeah, so they blow him up, and Soundwave manages to change what Magnus has set up. And he hasn't stopped him, he's actually cranked up the force field to 11,000%, causing it to protect the entire planet.
Yeah.
At which point Magnus goes, "Ha-ha, fool! I never said how to destroy the planet. I just didn't take the precaution of keeping it in one piece. Chain events are still in motion, and soon you and your kind will be crushed under its weight."
Something.
Yeah, he then escapes. Treadshot unleashes a tirade of hackneyed cliches until the last bit, which actually turned to make me laugh, I must admit. Was it Magnus, you coward? You're a small herbivorous shrew and you're nothing.
No, it's not even you are a small herbivorous shrew. Like a small herbivorous shrew. You are nothing. That is not dialogue. What is that? Shut up.
That's another reverse.
I know what it is, yeah. I don't think a shrew is the opposite of a bird of prey, but I guess I can see where they're going for it. But it's like, what? I mean, I know what you're doing, but what? That's not dialogue. I mean, it's not even well incorporated. That's the thing about these reverse feminisms. They're not even well incorporated. They're like, I gotta jam one in here somewhere.
Yeah.
Now you're gonna shout that after a dude? Really? It's not even a good sentence. It's just like, we have to fit this in somehow. We will put it here. It has no bearing. Oh my god, I can see getting wind in raid.
But would you have been happier if Treadshot had talked in reverse feminism throughout the entire issue? If it had been his thing?
If
he was
dude had done it, but that would imply intelligence, coherent attribution of character attributes to characters, and some kind of knack for comedy. None of which, of any of these things, are evident anywhere in this fucking comic.
Yeah, agreed. But that's kind of what I took away from this. I thought, well, why didn't they make Treadshot talk in these weird sentences?
Well, it doesn't even make sense because he's not from the fucking classics verse, so why are they talking in feminisms even if they are backwards?
You make a point.
I mean, I know they're from the backwards universe, which is why they talk backwards, but the Shattered Glass is, and you're doing feminisms because it's a Marvel Universe story, but these characters aren't from this universe, and it's just a broken joke.
Yeah. I was just trying to find ways of making it work, and now I'm going to be quiet. I don't want you to shout at me anymore.
No, I will kill you!
Yes, Mr. McFeely. I'm sorry, Mr. McFeely. My homework will be done tomorrow.
Yes. See me after, boy.
After boy? Good Lord.
See me after. Okay, so, anyway.
Yes, so we finish. The Earth disappears into another universe. The energy backlash destroying worlds across the universe. Cybertron, Nebulos, Clo, and Hydra's fall until nothing remains but even the cold vacuum of space. They've destroyed the classics first.
The entire universe has been destroyed in the span of one panel at the top of the very last page, kids. All of this super dramatic talk about portals and worlds being moved through them and everything, and you never see a damn... So from the very first panel of this comic, talking about the quote-unquote cosmic implications of everything Magnus has been doing, you see not a single cosmic anything until one panel on the last page. It's like it didn't even know how to do what it wanted to do. I mean, the destruction of the classics verse is not an inherently bad idea because it was a dumb universe anyway, where the whole idea of it being the Marvel universe, it never actually felt that way at all. They never drew anything from it. And more to the point, we have Regeneration 1 now, so classics verse seems double pointless. So destroy it, whatever, don't give a fuck. Okay, not the worst idea in the world. Undoing one of your own ideas, yeah. But this is just a joke.
Everyone looks horrified and shocked, except for Scoop, who looks a bit tired and bored. Why
am I here? I'm not even supposed to be here today.
Someone's trod on Stranglehold's foot. Either that, or there's somebody underneath him. I'll tell you, that's not a look of a man who's in panic.
Pretender Felicio.
And then
Straxus
is bathed in yellow light.
Don't know why.
No reason why. Other than to kind of look like...
basically to go, well, hey guys, remember I'm here.
Well, also he's to look like, what's his face? Emerald Zaron.
Yeah, that's what I took away from it, that they were trying to make him look like Emerald Zaron.
But he's possessed by Primus.
Right.
No, my friends, I am reminded of the words of one of our great
progenitors.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Hope abides, therefore I abide. Countless challenges have not stopped me. I burn bright, filled with life. I await the darkness that the universe sends. For with my will and ember, the battle never ends.
I suppose that's supposed to be
something.
Primus, maybe a quote from.
Yeah, but that's it. That's how it ends.
Yeah,
Straxus was meant to be a poet, wasn't he?
Yes.
Yeah, Straxus is a poet, so he's quoting shit like that. But it's like he's not been in the comic. Like he comes to the portal and does nothing. He's not in it, and it's like, hey guys, remember I'm hi universe at the very end, where it's like, I mean, what's the point? What's the fucking point of any of this?
What's this year's Collectors Club comic?
This year's Collectors Club comic, the one that is currently running, is Wings Universe storyline. Right,
so it doesn't even tie into that.
No, it doesn't.
That's the only thing that would make sense to me if it tied into that somehow. Other than that, you mentioned that the universe ends. It took me my second attempt getting through this to realize that's actually what happened because it's such a non-event.
Yeah.
Cool.
It's so bloody convoluted, which is weird because it's very straightforward.
Very immensely. There is nothing more straightforward than the destruction of all that is.
So how the hell do you make something that simple this convoluted?
And why does a character who has had nothing to do in the rest of the comic pop up glowing for no reason to chat shite about it at the end? This story is supposed to carry... Sorry, go on.
So I like to think that Shattered Glass Straxus is in fact Scrounge rebuilt into a new body.
Get off
So,
the thing, man. Seriously.
so you're damn right I do. So I like the idea of him floating around, being possessed by great power. This makes me happy. That's the only thing I take away from this. That and Kickoff doesn't get drunk yet. That is what I take away from this comic. The shit that I put in it.
It's like, I think this story is supposed to follow on somewhere, but I'm not clear where. Because, I mean, the story of these Optimuses is the next, from the prologue, is the next club comic.
Right.
As they round up Depth Charge from the subscription, not the subscription service, he is next year's free freebie. And at least one or two of these Optimuses in Depth Charge are following. I mean, there's an epilogue as well. It's called it's an epilogue to, it's online. It's there now, you can go read it. It's officially labeled as an epilogue to A Flash Forward, which is the current club comic that's running, and which has only got one more part left to it. It has nothing to do with Flash Forward. It is really an epilogue to, but it's not an epilogue to Invasion either, because it doesn't have anything to do with Invasion either. It's just the next bit of this Axiom Nexus Prime story, where they go and get Depth Charge to help them track across the universe two ships which flew just as the universe was dying here at the end of this story, which flew through the portal. And have been, as a result of the universe-destroying explosion, scattered across the multiverse. And they have wound up heading for a dimension where an exceptionally powerful artifact is kept, and the Transtech need to do something about that. So that doesn't sound like it's going to have anything to do with this Shattered Glass, Classic Verse Shattered Glass setup. So I got to know where this is going to... I mean, there's going to be there's supposed to be that comic that's going to come with the Fun Pub E-Hobby Shattered Glass Blaster Soundwave set that's supposed to be set after this. So maybe that's where we have to look to see what happens next with this. But the bigger question is, do you care?
No.
The answer is no.
So this doesn't get any better if you've read all the comics that surround it from the club.
You may have a little more context for it, but that does not help in any way to improve the shockingly poor quality of the comic itself.
Right. Well, that is Timelines Invasion. How do we sum this up? Okay.
Final thoughts.
Yeah, final thoughts.
Yeah.
Adam. Final thoughts and try and get a rating.
I can't rate it. I don't care enough to rate it. This is one of those things. This is a comic that I have desperately tried to mine to find things in it that I think would be good conversation topics, good discussion topics. And there's nothing. This is nothing. There is absolutely nothing in this that really interests me enough to talk about. There's a couple of things in there which I found annoying. And, obviously I've pushed them for comedic value. But this is enough. This is a big heap of knout. I've read it, and now that I've read it and we've done this, I will quite happily either give this away to a charity shop or lob it in the bin. I don't really care which. I just don't care. I honestly can't rate it because it is such a non-event. I'll forget this. I won't remember a single thing of this in a week's time.
I'll try. No,
it's dire.
We should point out, we've discussed this before, the reason we review these things and we are as critical as we are about them, because, some people have said to us, look, this is it's effectively a fan publication. It's a fan publication. It's something that's done for a convention, and it's supposed to be something that's a bit tongue in cheek and a bit fun. So why are we so hard on them? Why do we review them in the same context as we review More Than Meets the Eye or RID? Mainly because this is released at comic book shops to the general public and has the Transformers name on it. So someone might pick this up who doesn't know any better.
Yeah. You have to be critical of something that is asking you to spend money on it. If this was free, then I'd probably find it a bit more entertaining, a bit more enjoyable, and I'd probably be able to make more jokes at it. But it's not free. Money is spent on it. It's a product that you have to spend money on to be able to get.
Yeah.
And this is where the problem lies.
If this was available only at the convention, I wouldn't have a problem.
No.
And we probably wouldn't cover it either, to be honest. But,
No.
It's because it is made available to the general public, people like Chris have to sell it. So he gets the recriminations of that. But this can affect Transformers comic sales. Because if someone who doesn't overly know the brand picks this up and reads it, while they might have picked up 2 issues of each of the others, I wouldn't be going back.
No, sir.
So that is why we're so hard on it. Before we tear it completely shreds, because I know who's coming next.
Now, the thing is, you say there that it's effectively a fan comic. There are fan comics out there which are very well written, that are free for you to read. Right? They don't have the official backing of Hasbro, which I think kind of makes it a bit worse. That something has the official backing and turns out to be this poorly put together. Just makes you wonder how much Hasbro actually pays attention to the Botcon stuff, really. Yeah, it baffles the mind that I would love to know what the turnaround is in one of these comics. I would love to know how long it takes them to write it, get it put together. I mean, on the plus side, the artwork, for the most part, is pretty good. It's serviceable.
Yes.
There are a few elements in there that kind of baffle the brain, but I wonder how much of that
Dan
is...
Canna done anything real? I don't mean like a real comic, but has he done anything for IDW? He didn't do anything for Dreamwave. I think he did a couple of pages of one of the Movieverse ones.
I think he's done a couple of covers as well, hasn't he?
Yeah, I think he's done covers.
I don't know. I looked it up on the wiki, but for some reason he's like the one creator who doesn't have an itemized list of his work up there.
I'm sure
But it's like,
he has.
could they give him a real thing to draw?
I've got
Could somebody
horrible.
give him a real comic to draw?
I got a horrible feeling he was doing some of the profiles in the Beast Wars source book.
He definitely did, yeah.
Poor sod. You're right, though. I mean, this is a guy who has basically come out of the fandom and has found himself doing stuff like this, and he's improved leaps and bounds as an artist since his early days.
I mean,
I would
think
like to
the
see him be
problem
given
is
something.
he's the guy who did the 3H Botcon comics.
Yes.
And he's trapped in that now. He is locked in as the convention comic guy.
Mm-hmm.
And he's got the chops to at least take a good hard stab at a real... I mean, there's some bits that go wrong here. That shot of Magnus jumping down to stab the thing is poorly staged. There's some terrible storytelling on this fight between Magnus and Treadshot. But by and large, he's definitely deserving of more of a shake than some of the guys we've seen draw Transformers comics in years past.
Yeah.
And I wish that IDW would give him a proper go-round and let him draw a real, proper, decent, actual story that's not one of those 3H continuity clusterfucks or one of Fun Publications is just like despicable collections of imagery.
Mm-hmm.
It's...
Get him to go back and redraw Chaos. Let's see. No, Chaos, sorry. Heart of Darkness.
Darkness? That's... the art is only about 50% of the problem with that comic. Yeah, it'd be 60.
So, Chris, final thoughts and a score?
Okay. Right. This is awful. There are a few moments in there where it manages to latch on to the ideas that a evil parallel universe meets good universe should be mining. But one of the inherent problems of Shattered Glass is the fact that it's just a generic evil Transformer universe. It's not actually an evil universe of an actual existing Transformers universe. So you can't pit like characters who are their direct opposites against one another or play with the concepts that are mirrored in both specific universes. It's just a generic catch-all evil parallel universe. And the fact is, this is not an intrinsic problem with this comic, but it's just like the concept in general. It's a really stupid, hokey, hoary, old sci-fi presence, which everyone who has ever done it realizes is only really mineable for one crossover, and if that's popular, maybe a surprise return later on. And Fun Publications have said, oh, no, everybody in the history of science fiction writing is incorrect. Obviously what you do is you try and build a franchise and an ongoing story out of it. And that's immensely wrong-headed. And the only way that Greg Sepelak and Trent Troop have managed to salvage that idea from being a complete misstep is to transform Shattered Glass into a vehicle for gentle self-parody of the Transformers brand. Which is something, which has made, and they're good writers too, which has made the prose stories quite entertaining altogether. And the fun twists that they've put on characters that are like legitimately amusing. Like they came up with this Duder Soundwave personality, you know. And that's completely absent here. It thinks it's here. It thinks it's being funny with its reverse feminisms and its taking of faces and stuff. But it's chronically not. It is telling a grotesquely over-the-top, faux cosmic, grimdark mess of a story that Shattered Glass has no business being part of. And it brings into it the classic verse, an utterly pointless universe, which was basically not a bad idea in like finding a universe in which the classics toys could live, but by being a Marvel universe, it was completely pointless because we've got a better one of those already existing now, on top of the two we had existing before it. To be fair, I find it hard to criticize the classic verse as much as I used to with its decision to leave out the UK stories and Generation 2 now that Furman has made the same fucking stupid decision again for a Generation 1. So I can't really point the finger at the classic verse and go, oh, you stupid wrong-headed thing, how could you do that? Whenever I guess there are other people who think that's a good idea as well.
Why would anybody get rid of that G2 comic? Why?
I don't know. It's more the UK stuff than the G2 stuff that annoys me, you know. Mm-hmm. And then, you know, coupled with that, like the increasingly wrong-headed manner that the classic verse has been approached. The original story is not actually too bad. It's just that it's almost entirely about the Nexus Maximus components on their journey, and the universe they've dropped into is basically just window dressing on that story. There's not much that's actually about the classic verse characters in it. They're just backdrop. But starting with the Games of Deception comic and carrying on into this, every handling of the classic verse has been about forcing characters into it who never lived in it before and don't have places in it, instead of actually exploring the potential it has as a continuation of the Marvel Comics. Elita 1, Springer, Ultra Magnus, Metalhawk, Overlord. What are these characters doing in the Marvel Universe whenever the whole point of it is that it's a continuation of the Marvel Universe? Not that it ever successfully manages to look and feel like one. Dan Canna, along with Guido Guidi, are those guys are the artists who are able to best mimic the look of the original cartoon. And I'm sorry, but you can't just take the look of the cartoon and then use dark blue instead of black and try and convince me that this is the Marvel Comics universe I'm looking at. Because when you see an all-blue Perceptor or like a blue-covered Wheeljack and Jazz, it doesn't make you think Marvel. It makes you think weird. It doesn't look like the Marvel Universe. So like these are two universes that are not inherently bad ideas, but have been taken off in incredibly stupid, wrong-headed ideas by phone publications, and then have wound up causing a 62-car pileup behind them when they've collided in this story. And it is thunderously awful. And when it's not just awful, it's boring. And I don't know how it manages to make a multiverse one of the very few actual official cross-universal crossover stories, which is about the cosmic fate of a planet and the destruction of a universe, boring. How do you do that? I don't understand. It is chronically unfunny. Boring where it's not straight out terrible, and it's easily the worst issue of Timelines that they've possibly published. And as with the exception of the Stunta Con job, the Timelines comics are consistently some of the worst Transformers comics published. This makes this a strong candidate for the worst Transformers comic ever.
I wouldn't even say a strong candidate. I would say this is.
I mean, and more so, it's like how seriously this is flagged up after a year of excellence from IDW.
Yeah.
When this just sort of farts and putters its way out alongside, it's like the annoying little kid who wants to come out with his big brothers. It's like, can I play too? There's a comic shop. Oh, no. And IDW, they just look back and they go, oh, sick. I mean, and it's like you say, Matt, with this on comic store shelves, this actively denigrates the brand in this medium. It is utterly atrocious. And it's like Gruffy says, I don't really want to give it a rating. You know, I don't want to give it 0 stars. Let's say I'll give it half a star, or maybe 1, for those like half-decent moments of like Octopunch fighting himself, and the Junkie-own clone idea, say, or the moments where the jokes manage to be just understated enough to not be brain-stabbingly terrible. Don't buy it. Don't buy it.
No.
No, I think we can all agree on that one. That just do not give this your money.
Stop letting Ben Yee write Transformers fiction.
See, there was an interesting thought crossed my mind when I was reading this. This, to me, feels like Dreamwave hadn't gone away.
Oh, it's so much worse than that. Ben Yee never wrote
this is what I mean.
fiction. Remember, Ben Yee gave us the Beast Wars source book.
Mm-hmm.
This
is what I mean.
And you guys have... Sorry, go on.
I'll say this feels to me like Dreamwave never went away. Dreamwave continued into the present day, and that one idea that Dreamwave had, that one idea they mined into the ground, that every single issue of anything to do with Transformers must directly reference something that had gone before. Mm-hmm. They mined it into the ground, and they just kept on going until they'd reached the Earth's core and gave a friendly hello to whatever lives down there, and then they kept mining. That is what this feels like to me. This feels like, why bother making a original, interesting character story when all you can have to do to get Transformers fans to buy it is to just mine the past?
I mean, that's a thing, yeah. This is utterly devoid of character.
Yeah, there isn't a single bit of...
dudes appear, like so many dudes appear, and aside from the fact that Magnus and Treadshot hate each other, there is not a scrap of character for any of these new guys. Why is Trax in the box set?
Well, yeah.
Where is Trax?
Yeah.
Why is Overlord in the box set when he pops up for essentially a panel? Why does Octopunch have... I mean, but to be fair, that's not actually really like a problem that's isolated to this comic, but the distribution of the exclusive toys around the fiction, as far as pretty much all fun publication stuff goes, it's like, why was all of Dawn of Futures Past about Air Razor and Tigatron when Air Razor wasn't even available at the fucking convention, never mind anything else, and Tigatron wasn't even one that Tigatron wasn't even a toy that could be advertised to you. You had to have signed up for the pre-order in order to have got him as the freebie. It wasn't even one you could be convinced to then go to a store, to a table and buy from reading the comic. Like, I mean, they've never ever managed to actually. It's the same with even the Stunticon job. To be fair, I mean, at least all the Stunticons have all the characters in the books have a central role in the story. Okay, but your POV character is still fucking Sideswipe, and Cheetor, who is again somebody you had to buy from the club store.
Yeah.
I mean, they've never got this right at all. You know what I would say was that at least 3H got that right.
Wow.
3H were always able to just give their one or two toys like prime roles in the fiction that they were doing at that time, and right. There's just a shocking disparity with their goals here. Like, and here's Straxus. I mean, I suppose the level of involvement Straxus has is directly proportional to his convention toy presence. So I'll give it that.
This was the problem that I had with this thing, that I'm not even thinking of it in the way of how the toys worked or any of that. It's the fact that you have to spend money on owning this. And I find that to be the biggest joke of this entire thing. And somewhere I can feel Matt just started to go, oh, shit. We're never going to be allowed to do this again.
No,
but it was written by a child.
Exactly. I am convinced this was written in an afternoon.
Oh, yeah.
But the thing is, this would have taken months. Months of work to go.
I don't know if you guys have ever suffered the Razor's Edge. I have not managed to suffer all of it. That's Ben Yee again. Mm-hmm. And that's dreadful. Like, Ben Yee was once very relevant to Transformers fandom. Maybe it's time we stop letting him ride that pony and got him off of writing Transformers fiction, because everything he touches is dreadful.
Which one was Razor's Edge?
Razor's Edge was the story about how Air Razor, in a maid's costume, fought Flame War disguised as Megatron.
Right, okay. No, I haven't read that, because I don't think I'd have been able to forget it.
Yeah, it was one of the very earliest prose stories before they got Trent and Sapalak on the roto for it, and
wow.
I have not to make it through all of it. It is stunningly awful.
Well, we should draw it to a close there because I did promise Amy would keep this under an hour.
Are we at 2 now?
Yeah, about that. So
I freaking knew it.
So we hope at least we've entertained you. We know that this review has come out a little late to possibly save you any money, but
we're so sorry.
Sorry it took so long.
So we will be back next year, probably having to wait until the court orders are rescinded on us before we can review next year's offering. Any speculation, guys, as to what next year may be?
I'm going to assume they're not going to follow this story up with another convention box set. So, I mean, I can understand the desire to go back. It's hardly dead. It'll be back somehow in some form. It will. But I can understand the idea where they want to build their own universes. I mean, I was quite hard on the Wings universe for a long time before this most recent story, where they've actually tried to continue where they've actually tried to continue the cartoon continuity past the Rebirth. I'm down with that. All the stuff FunPub did for their club comics for the first 5 years, while of specious quality at best, was the sort of story that felt like it belonged in a club comic, expanding on the 13 through the Cybertron stuff, using non-show redecos and things as new characters, giving the classics toys, fiction, trans tech, revisiting Shattered Glass, and the whole Nexus Maximus thing. It just all felt like stuff that you would put in a fan club comic, and then we get this story. The first was it the first? Yeah, the first 2 years of this storyline that we're having now, that we're in the third year of now, this Wings universe story, which is the G1 cartoon, but a wee bit different. What is that? It's nothing. It's not an idea, but now that we've moved up to actually continuing on the cartoon universe, it's kind of solidified itself as a world for me. But the FunPub, the con sets are progressing to a point where the most successful sets are the ones that play in pre-established universes. Dawn of Future Past. Not talking comics, I'm talking sets. Dawn of Future Past and Stunted Con Job.
Yeah, absolutely.
The ones with the most coherent ideas behind them.
Well, even the Games of Deception one.
That had a coherent idea behind the set in that it was You're Missing Seekers, controversial as the idea was. But I guess the universe was kind of pre-existing as well. And Shattered Glass was like I said, it was a solid idea for a one-shot story.
Yes.
It's an evil parallel universe story, so it was a solid thing. And then Wings Universe was easily the weakest set, I think they've ever done since their first year, because it's just a random collection of characters dropped into something that's not quite the G1 cartoon, but sort of, we swear, I don't really know what this world is. So, I mean, they probably really, if they want to do a really good set again, what we need to do is drop in on a universe we already know. But then that causes the problem of the fact that they're going to touch a universe I already know. With their comments to go along with the set, and it's like, stop it, stop misunderstanding everything about what makes these things good.
Right.
Kind of a catch-22 situation.
Next year is going to be nothing but Shattered Glass Unicron trilogy.
Oh, Jesus.
Oh, jeez.
See, now that's something I wouldn't object to, though, would be a revisitation of the Unicron trilogy. Let's see what happens.
Crap.
Well, I mean, never mind that. It's over now. It had an end point in the cartoon, but it was an open ending where the Transformers were going to go off into the far reaches of the universe and have more adventures. That's fucking gold for building new stories around.
Yeah.
Let's go back there and see how everyone's doing.
No, because that's the thing, you can't play in Beast Wars because it's so self-contained.
Yeah.
And animated, you can only go on from it, as they already have done.
Yeah, and within the confines of the possibility of us ever getting anything else. I mean, I always thought that was kind of obvious about Stunted Con Job, was that they did season 3.5. They didn't even, because it was Eisenberg and Wyatt, they didn't do any of their season 4 plans. They did something that could fit in between the two on the off chance that they ever do get the chance to do season 4.
Yeah, even if it's only in comic form.
Yeah. It does bear thinking about right now. We'll see what's coming in a few months' time.
Creon Adventures. That's next year's.
No, well, there you go. Come on, let's have a bit of that. Yeah.
Creon and PCC.
Oh, man. Now, there's actually an interesting one. Why not the PCC stuff?
Why not? Indeed, let's have some of that. Those worlds are ripe to be repainted into stuff. I mean, and look what success Takara's already had with their United EX line, repurposing them into new versions of Generation 1 characters and getting people interested in things they never would have touched before with it.
With the money that the people are paying for them as well is just phenomenal.
Yeah.
You know, you're paying Masterpiece Sideswipe prices for a Power Core Combiner, and people are paying it. That's scary.
Terrifying. Yeah.
Well, anyway, we're not really here to theorize about the future of Botcon, so maybe we should draw a line at that.
The line has been drawn in the sand by Mr. McFeely. The podcast will come to an end. We will only bring we'll only bring these men back together for next year's Timelines comic. Adam, thank you, sir.
I think you're welcome.
See, the uniting of our two forces is threatening to sunder reality, and the Earth is going to
something.
universe. Yeah. We can't be brought together. It threatens the sanctity of the.
Before we go, I do like to point out the fact that once again you only invite me on to subject me to a Timelines comic. Why do you hate me, Matt? Well.
I'll answer that one for you next year.
An entire year!
Chris, we'll see you for RID number 11 in a couple of weeks' time.
Yes, indeedy.
And we'll see all you guys whenever this goes out, whichever it fits into the Underbase release schedule. It could be any time between now and Christmas. So we'll see you soon, guys.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Farewell. It's over. Finished.
This never starts. Begins.
Underbase complete. Cease transmission.